All right.
Theirs are gone. Soupy's gone.
No,
Sorry.
I said it reflects poorly on our organization personally.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the actually the very first Capital Improvement Committee meeting of 2022, April 4th, at 6 p.m. here in Town Hall. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I guess we'll go around the room and introduce ourselves to everybody. I'm Michael Croto. I am the chair.
Me?
Yeah.
I'll go my way.
Wherever you want to go.
You want to start? You go. I'm Liz McDonald. I'm filling in for Andrew Cutter as a school board rep.
Pete Stone, I am a citizen rep.
Kimberly Queenan, Selectmen's Rep.
Troy Brown, Town Administrator.
Jamin Carr, NRPC staff.
Carrie Douglas, Budget Committee Rep.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. And
Corey.
of course, we have
Corey.
Corey, who's with the school board. Good evening. Okay. So looks like we have an agenda this evening that was provided by Troy. The first item would be election of a chairperson. It looks like we have a quorum. I guess we would want to discuss who we want to elect as a chairperson or for the Capital Improvement Committee. Okay. No one wants to nominate themselves? Okay.
I don't know what you do if you don't have a nomination to. Do you still remain as chair? I guess.
I suppose.
So why doesn't somebody just nominate him?
Yeah.
Make it official.
Keep it simple. I think a nomination would
I'm
be.
non-voting, so I don't know if I can
Right.
make a nomination.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I would encourage somebody to nominate him then. Make it official.
How come you can't vote?
I'm non-voting. But that was the decision of the Budget Committee, is that
Oh.
our member would be non-voting so as to not influence or be influenced or anything at the Budget Committee level.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to nominate Michael Croto as chairman.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Do I have any discussion? All right. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 4-0-0. Hi. Next is election of vice chairperson. Anybody interested in?
We can't get out of the easy path there because that's vacant, right? Just saying.
Was Steve? I think Steve was the Selectmen's Rep, the vice chair, or was it Andrew? Well, no, Andrew.
No, Andrew was the non.
He's not here to say no, so.
Yeah.
But he may be missing in action. It sounds like for a while. If he's
Yeah.
I
being.
can't remember his name.
I think you're
I think it
right.
was Steve Webb.
I think it was Steve Weber.
So then
Yeah.
Kim.
It might make.
No, it wasn't Steve. It was the other citizen rep.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, you're right.
I can't remember his name.
What was his name?
It's on those minutes there.
Yeah.
At least I'm not the only one.
Minutes
that
right there.
probably-
I left them out.
It isn't it?
I can't remember.
No,
Say
something.
Sean
Yeah,
Flynn.
Sean Flynn.
Sean Flynn,
I had to think about that for a minute.
Yeah,
and he resigned.
and he
last time he
stepped
was
down.
on.
That's correct.
It's been a little while.
Is anyone interested in being the vice chair?
I think by default.
I would
it's
like
gotta
to
be-
nominate Andrew Cutter as vice chair.
All right, I have a
Can I
motion.
do that since I'm
Of course you
him?
You
can.
could, absolutely. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion, second. Do I have discussion? All right, all those in favor of nominating Andrew Cutter as the vice chair of the Capital Improvement Committee, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 4-0-0. Okay. Let's see, public input on for this evening. Is there any members of the public who wish to speak? Well, I don't see many. I see Brian Bork is here this evening. I recognize him in the audience. And hearing no public input, I guess I will close public input. Meeting minutes of approval for October 4th, 2021. Did anybody have an opportunity to take a look at those? Do you have any questions or concerns? Not, we can approve them tonight.
There's paper ones if you want. I don't know.
Yes,
Corey,
there's
you can hand,
copies.
because the next budget item or discussion item is going to be that other handout.
It's been a while since I looked at these.
Oh, you want me to take the other two?
You want me to send these around too, John?
Yeah, if you could.
I have to abstain since I wasn't there.
I wasn't here either.
Oh,
What did I find? Oh, unless you need, again, unless you need.
Wrong way. There you go.
Thank you.
So one page.
This one we do need, right?
This is current schedule.
Oh, Corey meant home. Thank you.
So I guess I'd entertain a motion to approve. So,
What does a D stand for under priority rank? It's U, D,
it's
N.
desirable.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're not on there right now. We're reviewing these.
Oh, sorry. I got saw the numbers.
I know. You were fascinated.
So does
Oh, I
anyone-
have to abstain.
You have to abstain. Okay. You guys
I'll
wanna-
make a motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I wasn't here.
You weren't here. You were abstaining. Okay. I'll make a second. I guess I could do
They're very thorough.
that. They are, yes. Very good job.
I instantly recalled the meeting.
So we have a motion, second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval of the minutes of October 4th, 2021, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained. Okay,
Abstain. Two abstain.
motion passes 2-0-2. All right, thank you. Moving on. So next is the review of the CIP plan and update discussion. Troy, did you want to start in with this or
Yeah,
Jay?
sure, I can. So you have the one-page summary is what, this is our plan that was adopted by the board back in 2020. As you can see, I think what's really important to just kind of point out that in 2021 and 2022, just for the town side, and then Corey can kind of recap the school side.
So I can do that.
But in the police department, there was nothing scheduled. As you can see, in long-term planning, there's a line for engineering, and that would be for engineering, architectural design work for a new police station. The plan being that it would be attached to the existing fire station. And when that fire station was designed, it was designed with the intent that one day a police station could be built and attached to the building. So there's a footprint on the site plan that shows exactly where the police station would go. The CIP committee, Board of Selectmen, School Board, the police chief was committed to making sure that the school project was completed before we started talking about the police station. So that's why you see it out in 2024 for engineering work, with the plans being that in 2025, there would be an attempt to get a bond to go ahead and build the new police station. And I think, well, we'll talk about the school. I won't mix them, but that just covers the police department. The fire department, we had the replacement of the 1991 tanker truck and the 1995 fire engine. So at the time we were meeting with the fire chief, the board wanted to leave the tanker truck on the schedule along with the fire engine. But at the time, the fire chief had said, you know, the fire engine is what we were looking to replace for now, with the intent being designing the fire engine with hopes that it have a larger carrying capacity. I think they were going to go from 1,000 gallons up to either 1,200 or 1,500, and sort of acquire that piece of equipment and see how it works. And based on that, they would decide whether or not a tanker truck would be required, or if another fire engine with the same design capacity might be a better fit for the department. Whatever the case, the tanker truck warrant article never ever appeared on the warrant, and the fire engine, as we all know, was on the warrant for the first time this year, and it failed. Just over 100 votes, I believe, that it failed by. The highway department, the operating budget for the paving program, carrying $200,000, which is pretty much offset 100% by the community development block or the highway block grant. And that is the case this year as well. That is in the operating budget. There's also, in addition, to have a $200,000 standalone special article to complement the $200,000 block grant funding. That article has not appeared for the last 2 years on the warrant. And it's, I think this year was, it's always probably due to the fact that we have a tax cap, but this year primarily, I think it was not there due to the fact they're really trying to keep the number of articles down so, the fire truck could be more of the primary purpose of the budget this year, but that failed. So the funding, as you recall, the town used to always have the block grant funding, and then we had a special warrant article for many years raising about $200,000. When the fire station bond was introduced, that's when we started seeing that extra $200,000 being dropped off. But with that being said, there was a lot that happened where there was funds that came directly from the state, or there was unexpended funds at the end of the year. So we've been able to maintain the paving program at that $400,000 level pretty much. But this year, unless we use the ARPA funds, which we'll talk about later, we only have $200,000 earmarked for paving. And with rising costs of oil and energy, we're not sure how much pavement we're going to be able to purchase with $200,000. The backhoe had been introduced as a warrant article back in 2021, but the Board of Selectmen did not support that. They felt that the existing backhoe was could have a lot more life left to it, and so that article attempt failed in 2021. It was not reintroduced in 2022. And you'll see the F-350 and the F-450 trucks, they were not placed on a question this year. Those are the smaller trucks, moving more towards the medium-sized duty trucks. What we did have, we did acquire a plow truck last year. We didn't finance it, but it was purchased with cash. So I think we've made some progress on plow equipment and trucks, but if you take a look at the schedule that we had for CIP, I think only one of those plow trucks or maybe two have been funded. So, and they're not, it's not through a leasing program. And then going down to recreation in 2022, there was a plan to repave the parking lot at Dara Pond. That was not a warrant article this year. And I think the rec commission, we kind of leaned on them to ask them for direction. I think they weren't quite ready for the article this year, but one of our local contractors, business owners in town has stepped forward, and they're going to be doing some work down there. So we're actually going to see some improvement to the parking lot. Addressing drainage is going to be the primary purpose. And so I think, we'll see what happens, but that's going to happen this year. There will be significant improvements to the parking lot at no cost to the taxpayer. And the library was really designated. We know that the library is in desperate need of space, and they were asking for engineering and bonding costs. But at the time when the CIP committee was meeting and voting on the plan, they felt that the library building needed more research, and that's why you see it rated as an R. Conservation Commission, this plan does lay out a process where we would try to make purchases for land acquisition, land easements, just trying to promote open space, preserve our agricultural land. And the plan was to try to stagger the cost. And you can see in 2021, $666,000, and then the same in 2023, and then pushed out in 2026. But obviously, there's been no attempt at that funding. However, we have had some positive movement in the conservation land acquisition area because we now have, as we all know, we have about $1 million in the conservation fund. And the cap of $1 million was just approved by the voters to raise that from 1 million up to 2.5 million. And some of the funds that were considered or were lapsed, or they exceeded the cap, and they were put in a holding fund. The voters approved to put those in the agricultural land acquisition fund. So even though we've not had a warrant article, raising additional funds, the voters have really put us in a good spot where they've lifted that cap from 1 million to 2.5 million. That's funded all through land use change tax revenue. So essentially, almost anytime you see land that's being developed in town, in most cases it's in a land use change tax situation where it's in current use. Otherwise, they'd be paying full taxation on it. So, and that's where we're at. So we've kind of fallen behind the plan. And I haven't heard a lot of changes from the different departments. There's still, these type, like in the highway department, those vehicles being requested still right there. The fire department, obviously, with their fire engine, and the police department is, focused on starting the engineering and design work in 2024.
Okay. Thank you, Troy. Anybody have any questions for Troy about the?
Are there any newer needs out there that were identified? Or that will be identified?
I think, that's part of our, I think that part of our discussion this evening would be that, we send this back out to all the departments and look for feedback, because obviously we're going to need to shift things to align with, the years. I mean, I don't know, Jay's here as the town's planner, and has helped guide us through this process. Do we actually change the 6-year projection, or do you stick with this plan and how have you done it in other towns?
I mean,
Push 2026 out, 2027, 2028 now, or?
So yeah, so the CIP period is now going to be 2023 through 2028. But it's really a decision of the committee. There might be some things we might decide to push things out. We might decide maybe there's some things that we're just not going to recommend. There might be new things that we add. So ultimately, we'll have a new spreadsheet. We'll probably play with it a little bit, and then at some point there'll be a vote.
Okay. In terms of the fire engine, do you see that coming back for review by the Board of Selectmen at some point, or
There's,
consideration?
so there is, I'm sure you've all been following it, but there's ARPA funds that we'll talk about later this evening. And the towns will receive just over $900,000. And one of the things that those funds can be used for is the purchase of public safety equipment. So police cruisers, fire engines, ambulances. There was some discussion with the board about considering using those funds to purchase the fire engine. But with, the recent vote of the voters saying, no, we don't support purchasing the engine. I think that's not an area that the selectmen are willing to support right now, unless they were to hold a special meeting and actually hold a special town meeting and ask the citizens if they wish to purchase a new fire truck with these funds, which would essentially be at no cost to the taxpayer, opposed to the article they defeated, which was a cost. There was actually a tax impact to that. So they've not said, I have a feeling based on, they didn't take any action really, but I don't know if there's interest in having a special meeting. I think they're leaning more towards hopefully using some of the ARPA funds towards the purchase of a fire engine and having some kind of warrant article next March.
Okay.
That's kind of what I heard, but I don't think there was an actual vote taken. I mean, you think that's fair?
I do think that's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Isabigi, school.
So our major pushes as of right now, the new elementary school has moved from the pre-bond phase into schematic design and the state building aid application. We do not feel that there's a strong chance of getting any state building aid just based on it's now a competitive process. And there's going to be schools that rank higher in terms of safety than us. And then we have the feeling that there's a couple districts that are going to hit bond votes at the same time as us. So priority for state building aid funds would probably go to those projects before they would come to us. So we're going to do everything we can to go through a thorough application, get that into the state by July 1st. I just want to note that there's a good chance we probably not going to get money from the state on this one. The LMS energy efficiency, we're waiting on the guaranteed maximum price from the contractor. We're expecting that within the next week or so. And the municipal lease, which was approved on warrant article 6, is closing on April 20th. So that work will start if we can get the materials in any kind of timely fashion. We'll be working during this summer to do the 2 additional classrooms that were on the plan, plus renovate the kitchen because we need a kitchen to open up next in September. So we're going to focus on there, and then we'll have to see how the HVAC and ventilation work and electrical work goes from there. It's feeling like what we thought to be a 6 to 8 month project is probably more in the realm of a year, slightly over. So we'll continue on that. Those numbers, the numbers for the new elementary school, where we were looking when we developed this, we were looking 29 million, trying to keep it under 30. We're probably looking 35 to 40 million when the estimates come in.
Does that include land acquisition?
Yeah.
And the 40 million?
Yeah. We are actively researching properties. That should be, we're expecting some information tomorrow in terms of property. Those are our main initiatives, and I know we're going to have to go back as a district and reevaluate some of the things that are also on this list. But right now, our priorities are getting the LMS project done and getting a new elementary school on the ballot for next year.
Yeah, I think.
And as I mentioned, with the energy efficiency project, while the construction manager's in there and we have the subs, we pulled the kitchen up to be included in the project. And
I think Corey points out one point here that, the numbers that we had for the town, on the town side, a lot of this equipment, I'm sure that when we put together the cost of that equipment back in 2019, we started working on this, we wouldn't be able to purchase this stuff.
Even the energy
Just the
efficiency
pickup trucks,
project.
everything have gone through.
The energy efficiency stuff, when we put these numbers together, we were going based on the H.L. Turner report from 2016, like what the repair and replacement of all these things are going to be. And their report was pretty much darts thrown at a board. We think it would cost about this, but then you actually go out and get the estimates and you find that $2 to $3 million project is actually more in line with a $6.5 to $7 million project. Plus all the supply chain issues, plus all the inflation issues, where it's pricey work.
And it's important to point out too, along this line, that when the committee met and we reached out to all the boards and committees and departments, we established a minimum threshold of $50,000. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know what items could possibly be out there that never made it on this schedule, because 2 years ago it was estimated that item might cost less than 50, and today it might be 65, 70. So just that's a good thing to keep in the back of your head.
It's a comforting thought.
Yeah.
Prices aren't coming down, unfortunately, on a lot of stuff.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No,
That's it? Okay. Anybody have any
Where we at?
questions?
So along with that update, Mr. Chairman, one of the things that, we had worked on this spreadsheet, but the town had back in the prior capital improvement plan, a very comprehensive document that sort of backed up what you see on here. It did
Right.
a really good inventory of the town's assets and laid out the need for the things that you see listed on the sheet. And so I've been working with Jay, and Jay had is going to be working on a proposal that I assume would want to be going through this committee first in concept, and then eventually approved by the Board of Selectmen. But Jay, you were thinking that to update this plan and put this into the comprehensive booklet form that we were used to, is around $2,000 you were estimating. And the last time that book was in 2014. That was the year it ended, at least.
Okay. All right. Jay, did you want to add anything about NRPC? Any proposals or?
Not really. I think it was Troy's description. I think it was a pretty good one, and we're also in a good place now that we've got a lot of data coming out. So I think that'll be very helpful in informing the plan.
Okay. Great. Right. Okay, NRPC, well, I guess the next thing is impact fee methodology update proposal.
So when the current impact fees that we have in place right now, the cost per square footage, there was a methodology that was done by a private firm or a contractor that was not the Regional Planning Commission. Was it Bruce Mayberry? Who was really he specialized in this area, and he was one of the very few people that specialized in this area and developing a fee system to be charged, for the new development. Well, Mr. Mayberry, he's been used. I've used him from time to time for guidance on how we spend these impact fees, what we can do and what we can't. And he always referred back to the impact fee methodology. And that is, that's, as I understand it, is the basis that you use to determine, what you can spend these funds on. So since we've updated the CIP plan, we're going to be updating it again. I think it's important. We had these discussions and then COVID came, but about the fact that having the Regional Planning Commission update the whole methodology and revisiting the whole fee structure.
Yes. I've been asking for that for several years, just because in looking at this, it looks like the school assumes 30% building aid. We're not going to be getting that. So that means our school impact fee is significantly below where it should be. And then we have capacity that has changed. So I can't vote, but I very much advocate for updating this number because we're leaving money on the table every time we put it into development.
And I think that was actually, if I recall, because I think I was on the planning board at that time, I think there was actually a grant that was
Yes,
done.
you have the history. That's right. I remember talking to you about
to
this.
bring him in and do that analysis.
But if it's $2,000 and every week in our increase on each house is 50% on school, you pay for that in half a house. So to me, it's a no brainer. Like this should be updated.
Yeah, I think, and I think that we've had this discussion before, and I think it's important to take a look back at that and.
Doing it alongside the CIP update makes sense.
Right, exactly. Because the two really do complement each other. So it's important to look at both. Okay. So I don't know, Jay, are you going to, I mean, how are we going to work that in terms of the impact fees? Are you going to do some sort of research or analysis, or does NRPC, how does
Yeah.
that figure in? And then
So-
have a presentation at another meeting or something?
Right. I mean, obviously what's going to be key is we've got to settle on what the projects are,
Mhm.
what portion of those are going to accommodate growth,
Okay.
and put some numbers around them. So I think once we I mean, obviously the biggie is going to be the school, but once we get a good sense around what those numbers look like, reasonable estimates, that then we can move forward. So we'll focus mostly on the CIP first. Try to get that in good shape,
And then transition.
except for the unrelated parts like population, et cetera. Those we can be working on.
Okay. All right, great. Is that all we want to talk about for tonight for
Yeah,
impact
I
fees?
think it's just to get it.
Just to get it.
Knowing that,
table
and
and-
I don't know, I mean, you play a dual role here as
Mhm.
chair of the CIP and chair of planning board. And I don't know what, I know in the past, planning board has had a role in like you say,
Right.
impact fees, like the CIP plan and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure, we obviously want to communicate and maybe
Maybe that's a
maybe your role
discussion
here,
we
because
can
Jay's
have.
the planner too. So I
Board,
mean,
right.
just,
Yeah,
And the planning board's going to ultimately have to adopt the fee schedule.
right.
So clearly the board's going to have to have a comfort level.
So I think
So
it's
I think that's
important that you
something
have that communication with the planning board.
I guess, yeah, and work on that on our end and bring that into this. Okay, great. The ARPA fund discussion, Troy.
So just real quick, if you're not aware, the town was awarded $904,623. And it's all from the American Rescue Plan Act, we call ARPA. We have received the first installment. We received it back in July, amount of $450,000. It's sitting in a bank account. We have not expended any of those funds yet. At the time that this program was rolling out, there wasn't really a lot of guidance on how you could spend the funds. And it was advised to us through the New Hampshire Municipal Association to hold off and let's wait for the final rules to come out. So the final rules, we waited around, we had an interim rule, we had some workshops, but I think that the interim rules generated a lot of questions throughout the whole nation. And down in Washington, D.C., they received feedback, and a lot of the questions and concerns, some of the rigid areas were listened to. And when they came out with the final rule in January of this year, there was an area that was very interesting for the, probably the most beneficial for the town of Litchfield was in this category of lost revenue. So there's this program has several categories. For example, to deal with public health issues directly, related to the pandemic. So you can use these funds to address public health issues, and that might be working with, one of your nonprofit groups. They're, say, I'll just make this up, like a food bank or a homeless shelter. There was a category for negative economic impact, and that was kind of structured in the area of businesses, areas in your town or city that were impacted due to the pandemic. And so a lot of this stuff, is like bigger cities too. So the whole program is trying to capture everything that's going on in our country. Another area that was a category was premium pay for essential safety workers. So, and that was a lot of that. There's not just giving them pay for, for the work that they did through the pandemic, but if there were positions that were lost due to the loss of income, and we didn't hire certain firemen or replace policemen throughout the pandemic, that this is an area that you could look into to address some of those concerns. We didn't experience any of that. Another area was in water, sewer, infrastructure, broadband. Broadband was a big thing. There were a lot of communities throughout our country where we relied on internet access, and we know how we all went virtual, and some areas really struggled with this because they didn't have the infrastructure. So these funds can be used to bring that infrastructure to these remote areas, so that the next time we have a pandemic or whatever type of emergency, situation like this, we can have that virtual connection. And the last category, which is really the best category for the town of Litchfield, is what they call lost revenue. And lost revenue was strategically designed to try to address towns and cities that essentially lost revenue. People, whatever, building stopped, all the fees that we collect on a day-to-day basis, we lost that revenue, and as a result of that, we postponed things, we cut things. It was kind of interesting because you'll hear a lot of towns and cities joke about it, that, well, we didn't really see a loss in revenue. We saw an increase in certain things because people, for whatever reason at the time, they were buying cars. At that time there wasn't a shortage of vehicles. A lot of purchase of cars. People were remodeling their decks, the inside of their houses. They were doing all this interior work. And so our building permit revenues, car revenues, and just everything was actually staying very strong, which was a huge surprise because everyone was forecasting that we were going to, just see a big drop. I think that now, though, you're starting to see that you can't purchase cars if you want to. The remodeling and a lot of the work maybe is being postponed because it's going to cost you twice as much to put that addition on your house now, or build the garage or put that swimming pool in. So it's quite possible now that we'll see the programs out there that we are going to start experiencing lost revenue. I haven't seen that yet, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. But that particular area is very flexible. The workshops that I've attended, the federal employees, they're really pushing you, saying, if you're going to expend these funds, if you can use the lost revenue category, that's the category you want to be expending from, because it's going to be less reporting requirements. It's going to be very flexible, opposed to when you get into these specific categories, public health, economic impact. Those are going to be a lot of work, a lot of documentation,
More scrutinized.
and more scrutinized. And you will be audited on this. So
But can
So in
you
this
only-
case, we'll probably use our lost revenue.
But can you only use that if you demonstrate a loss in revenue? Because what if you don't?
No, so in there, so the
Like,
so
if you
when
don't
the
have a loss
interim
in
rules
revenue-
came out, everyone was nervous of even going in this category because it's a new term for all of us. And there was this fancy calculation that you put in some, revenues here, and they were looking at revenues over the last 3 years and averaging them out, and these assumed growths, percentage of growth. And you put all your numbers in there, and I can remember our finance director, Karen White, coming and saying, I don't know, I keep getting like this $1.2 million, but it doesn't make sense. We haven't lost 1.2. But then the more the federal government, started hearing this, and the more they explained to us, it was sort of the methodology that they used. It had an assumed growth year over year. And if you fell underneath that percentage, you qualified for lost revenue. But for people like myself to sit here, with boards and committees and town meetings and stick our necks out and say, yeah, I'm very comfortable in the that we entered the numbers correctly, and there's no doubt in my mind we're eligible for this. I think that message got carried down to DC, and they came out with a blanket authority of anybody that's been awarded ARPA funds of $10 million or less can automatically be eligible for lost revenue. So we were awarded 900,000. So yeah, we're
Carrie
safe.
looks confused.
We are safe. now.
No, I appreciate it from as a member, that's great. As a taxpayer, I have an entirely different point of view.
Welcome to the federal government.
'Cause you work in the federal government, right? Yeah, you were telling us.
Yes, this is normal behavior for them.
Just makes me glad I
and this
paid
is
taxes this year.
this program, usually we have a relationship where 95% of the grants that we're involved with are administered through the state up in Concord. So we're working with people in Concord and have a very close relationship, not worried that we're doing anything wrong. These funds are all Department of Treasury. Nothing's going through Concord. So
Yeah, they
which is,
they move
kinda
things around all
separates
the
us.
time, right? I mean, and they'll take feedback, and then sometimes they'll do
The opposite.
completely unexpected things.
No.
We're managing them through the state. Like it's no different than.
yeah.
I mean, there's more red tape involved in these particular funds, but the process for reimbursement is exactly the same as what we're
Same.
accustomed to.
The state doesn't run a deficit most of the
I
time.
mean, this is how did the school? So the other thing with this grant program, which I've never been involved with before, is where they actually inform you you're going to receive $900,000, and they've sent me a check for half of it, and I'm going to get my second installment in May or June. And I haven't submitted any. I've
We're-
submitted nothing. The
we're-
check just came. So it's in the process where usually you apply for a grant, you tell them what you're going to do. They say, yes, this is an eligible.
Well,
It
if you
fits the
run
criteria of this program, and we award you. In this case, we're reporting after the fact of what we purchased, and there's always that fear that something's going to be
I
denied.
don't know why they're handling the town side different than the school side, because everything
Towns
we had to put the
Nope.
application in for approval, and then you do the work, you prove you did the work, and then
And you get reimbursed.
we get reimbursed.
We're,
usually
we're-
how it goes.
we're being paid up front. Then we verify after.
There was a lot of fundage that was put out around COVID that they're probably trying to get out and landed.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get the
Which
cash.
is different than the
cash on the street as fast
what you're
as
trying to do at the school.
But with the new final rule and, everything that I've attended for webinars, under the lost revenue category, we have a lot of flexibility and no real fear of having the 3 years later down the road, the federal government saying, oh, no, that wasn't an eligible purchase. That's
So those numbers that you calculated, you never even sent down to them? They just came up with an arbitrary number and started sending money?
we put it in
Submitted the first
we
one,
put it
okay.
in yeah.
Gotcha.
And
I was gonna be
I
like, that
think
would have been
we
weird.
came up, so we came up with somewhere in the ballpark, you know, what they actually made a determination on. So.
Interesting.
I'm not surprised.
So anyhow, the reason, just wanted to give you the you know, the information there. The Board of Selectmen, obviously, they're looking for direction from the Capital Improvements Committee in terms of using you as the committee to collect requests from our town departments on how they'd like to spend these funds.
It doesn't have to be committed until 2024 and spent until 26.
So we has to be fully committed by December 31st, 2024.
Right, so we have
Committed,
time.
like signed contract, you know, it committed.
Okay.
And then you have until December 31st, 2026 to expend all funds.
All right, so that gives you us time to pull this together and then compare.
Yeah.
Jay will have that done in a week.
I mean, it really is, it's a wonderful opportunity, as you just saw, for 2 years with a CIP plan in place, at least on the town side. We didn't accomplish everything we planned to, and it was due to funding, you know, primarily. So with these ARPA funds, I do think it's an opportunity for us to hopefully address some of these things, and maybe some other items that other boards, committees, and departments are aware of today.
Now, Mr. Zabicki, you mentioned you were involved with the ARPA funds, I guess, in doing this project, or?
So part of it was you could apply for construction as part. So the ventilation system, the roof, in order to, if you've got a 20-year-old roof, you replace it so you're not putting brand new equipment on top of a 20-year-old roof that's out of warranty. So ESSER 2 funding, that's still pending, but that covered $330,000 of the roof. But we'll get that. That's like, you send your design, they approve it, and then they want to look at it again, and then they want to look at it again. So that's the red tape piece of it. It's about $600,000 in ESSER funding, ESSER 3, that's going to go towards the LMS project.
And we would just be doing the town side, or does the school board do their own, or how does that, or are we going to be responsible?
School would do, I don't know, you just keep us informed, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think the Board of Selectmen is looking for a recommendation on the town side.
Yeah.
Okay.
How we spend all our funds.
I see.
And they've, you know, very loose right now, but I do think they're planning on, you know, ultimately having a public hearing to discuss this with the residents once we have an action plan or spin plan.
Interesting. Anybody have any questions, thoughts, suggestions? Okay. All right. Well, I guess as this progresses, I guess we'll, you know, we have a set date, and obviously we'll work on the CIP and find stuff that may be applicable. We could recommend to the Board of Selectmen at some point.
Yeah. So I think between now and so this committee is supposed to meet the first Monday of the month at 6 o'clock. It's still good time for everyone. And I'll work with Jay on getting, you know, updating our form that we sent out to everyone saying, hey, you know, take a look at the plan, update anything, your pricing, and then at the same time say specifically anything that maybe wasn't on the plan that you could use ARPA funds for.
Okay. And I assume, I mean, you'll reach out to department heads.
Oh yeah, with the boards and committees. Yeah.
All right.
Are you working with any other communities on ARPA? They're all doing them individually. The town's probably doing them.
Everybody's doing them individually. You know, of course, you know, we'll field calls, et cetera, on it, and everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Basically.
Are they sort of, in your knowledge, are they sort of in the same planning? Are you aware of some town spending stuff already, or are they still in the planning stages?
Most of the ones I've talked to are still in the planning stages,
Okay.
but they, you know, some are farther than others in terms of really kind of coming up with their plan.
Okay.
You know, but everybody's also gets in a bit of a reactive mode. I think most people were waiting everybody went for revenue replacement.
Well, clearly.
You know? Right.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Should we come up with a need that's like a test that we can submit and let it sit for a little bit and see if anything comes back? I mean, are people that nervous to go down that path?
I'm not nervous. You mean about
I mean, yeah, I
Reinvent-
know when we talked about this the last time, there was a lot of unknowns of.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
that was way back last summer when last time we
Yeah.
met, and I just
They didn't really have.
I just
that.
didn't have the
October, I think,
information.
yeah,
I'm very very confident now with the final rule that there's enough there, and there is the ability, even though they can't give you a black and white answer, there is the ability to send direction, questions to Treasury, and they can give you guidance.
Gotcha.
If I ask them, can I buy an ambulance? Well, because now it's in the run, they say yes. But if it was a satellite, they may not say yes. They may not say no. They're going to say you need to meet the criteria of whatever category.
Yeah, yeah. Which this
casino
one seems pretty open and vague.
Hmm.
Very good. All right. Okay, any other, anything else that anyone wants to bring up? Okay. I have a public input, another public input. So are there any members of the public that wish to comment? Yeah, please.
You made the trip, Joe. Said you made the trip here, Joe. You should.
Have a seat.
Joe Cabral, yeah, Drive. I was at the last selectmen meeting, going over the ARPA funds and about the fire truck. I did some digging on fire truck because I had mentioned used to Frank. I did find some used during from 2009 to right up to 22. Some of them are like one in some Pennsylvania and I don't want to, call them and say, what the heck? All I was looking for was mileage on them, and they did give them some of them. The highest mileage truck was on there was 30, and the lowest one was 18. And these are used pumpers that they need. Pricing, the highest one I saw on there was 400,000. The lowest one was 250,000. So I feel that would be a good way to. I know they need a truck. I was one of the ones that said no. I feel that would help them get a truck. I don't know who the heck would go down and check them out or anything. Probably Frank and the mechanic they have or somebody. Like I said, that'd be something that I would love to see the ARPA funds go to. The other thing is the roads. I plow your roads, so there are some rough ones. And you haven't been in the truck until you hit one of them and the whole thing bounces up. You're bouncing with it, and it's a good thing I don't have a coffee and go all over the place. But that'd be another part I'd like to see that some of them funds go towards is some of the roads. I'm not saying the whole thing, you got to break this all up, but that was what I was looking at. I know we can't take any and put towards a police station design, but I wish we would. Like I said at the meeting, we have the worst police station, I think, in the area. When you look at all the towns around us, we have it's that big. Everybody else is poof. But I know we can't do it for that. That's something else. But that's what I feel. And I even got the websites in here. You can call me. I can give you the website. You can look at the trucks yourself. Frank can look at them. I got 3 of them with real bright stars on them. And I think they're the best shot for us to go after.
I have a question. Why do you think they would be getting rid of a fire apparatus after a year? I'm just curious.
No, what they do is some of them go lease purchases and stuff,
And then they,
put them back in because that's what we would. Remember, we were looking at the lease purchase.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. There are older ones on there.
I never
and they
mind
got
new.
higher mileage on them.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't
Buy
go for a
mine from
higher
Denny.
mileage truck, period. But it would get us up into the 2010, 15 and up. What are our years on ours? I don't know exactly.
91 and 95, I think.
You know,
Yeah, 91 for the tanker truck and 95. for
yeah,
the
see,
fire
these would put these.
So I remember that part.
I was still.
Get up higher in the years, with lower mileage, you know? And, because I know it was 700,000 for the other truck to take the,
I mean, look, if the ones from 2022 is 400K, that's
Yeah.
40% off of what we're targeting.
you know.
Of course, we don't know the details of tank size and
Right.
other
Don't
features.
we have
but
other tankers? I thought we had 3. How many tankers do we have?
We only have one.
There's only
an
one
actual
tanker.
One
There's,
tanker.
there's 2 or 3 pumpers,
Oh. But we have all those wonderful fire hydrants we pay a lot of money for.
not in the entire town. Yeah, we've been down this road.
Sorry, my dad was a Boston firefighter. I can't.
Well, that's
for 30
different. They have
years.
hydrants
No,
everywhere.
and that's one of the things that's worth
They have
considering.
rivers.
Is like, has there
But they don't take them
been
for
an
parades.
evaluation of the fleet? Like,
Yeah.
are we? A lot of times we end up with new equipment because the state's getting rid of it. Do we actually? Does our actual fleet match our actual needs, or have we accumulated a bunch of stuff that just happened to be free, and now we have it? Like, so have we like analyzed needs
They had
versus what we
somebody-
have and what we plan to replace?
How many fires?
He
do we
had
have a
somebody
year?
look into that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That did
he
an
had somebody look
evaluation.
at them, and I think the one they want to replace is the worst one out of the
No,
fleet.
it wasn't just that. He did some kind of plan where they came and did an evaluation based on population and hydrant
I think
coverage and
what
all.
Carrie's saying is two things. Is like we had the fleet was all was assessed mechanically
Right.
But there's
in the
that.
fall. You're saying an assessment for
Do
the
we have
actual
what we need?
needs of the town now. Now we have all these hydrants and with this number of
What, also,
population.
how many
and this
fire calls do we have a year compared to?
calls? What type of calls? And
So, right,
that's
rather
what
than
you're
just
saying.
say, well, we get a truck from the state, well, now we need to replace it every so often. But do we still need it? You know, does our fleet match our needs? That would be an interesting question for me. Because if we're replacing vehicles we don't need to replace, then maybe we take it off the schedule. That's just, or maybe there's other equipment we need instead of certain things that we don't have that should go on the schedule.
Like
but-
what? Sounds like you got something in mind.
No, I've heard people ask, you know, we've ended up with surplus equipment. Do we have it because it was easy to get, but do we need it?
Hmm.
Like, and if now that we have it, there's this idea that, well, we have it, we need to replace it. But did we need it in the first place? We just got it because it was convenient. So I would like to I think that people would feel more comfortable with the schedule if we actually said, in this town, we need so many of these vehicles, so many of these vehicles, so many of these. We have
Comfort.
2 of these,
Yeah.
3 of
I
these,
think
but
he
we
had a
should
schedule
swap
for
them.
that.
Yeah.
I think that's a key part of the process too,
think
because
we
we're gonna be
will.
bringing in all the department
There's
heads
a couple
and
of them over
asking
there.
those kinds of
Oh, me
questions and
too.
thinking in advance the kind of questions we've got is gonna be really important.
You always need a primary and a
And I would imagine that the fire
Because it's
chief and
never that
yourself,
sensitive.
Troy, I mean, you must have some sort of a process to.
Yeah, he
Determine what
he
is
spoke to
The fire
somebody
department
He-
has standards
that did an evaluation
Yeah, he
of
did the
the
evaluation.
equipment coverage for the town.
He does need a truck.
Oh, I
What?
agree with that.
Yeah, he does need that one truck. I'll
Well,
go
yeah,
along with
but
that.
do we need 3? Like, I guess that would be the question. Like, as a
Well, I mean,
taxpayer,
You
some
have
of
to
that
see
is
what they do.
yeah. Well, some of that isn't it's not your car, right? I mean, if one goes out of service, they need a backup so they
Right.
can continue service,
Mhm.
right? So if there's multiples past that, then sure. But there's always going to be whatever's active in service is a primary and
Is
a
the primary
failover,
truck.
right?
And that's what we're replacing, the big one.
The one- 'cause I guess.
Because there are 3 pumpers, right?
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And one is
So
kind
the,
of-
the
it's like
idea
a-
is to replace the oldest,
Oldest
engine.
one, right.
So
But
that
the
it
one that's
becomes- it
old is-
becomes your
but that's more of a parade vehicle, right? That's not in live service now.
I think there are. I think
All 3 of them
all
are?
are.
Well, you're talking tanker, but
Yeah.
you're talking about the engine.
No, I thought I saw an older
Engine
engine
is-
that looked like it was like 60s or 70s or something. There was an
It's
older
the
one.
pumper that, they need.
I thought it was more like a nostalgic thing. That
But anyhow, it was,
But-
Oh, no, they don't want to keep the old ones around. Then we got to keep fixing them.
but it was to replace
Sure.
engine 2, I believe, which is the oldest of the engines.
And that's then from 91.
That would become your front line engine.
Right,
and
correct.
Take some pressure off the front line engine right now.
And the other
which is
one goes
about
to
20
reserve.
years old.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we have enough bays for all of this equipment?
Well,
We do, because we're going to be adding.
we're going to
we would not be
get
adding
rid
to
of
the
the other
fleet.
one.
You're gonna what?
We would not be adding to the
Oh,
fleet.
okay.
So
Just replacing
Oh,
it?
you gotta
So-
replace it.
Get rid of the
Yeah,
other.
when you get
Oh, I thought you said it
another
was
truck,
back.
that, what the old, when they want to get rid of goes.
So-
It's gone.
got it.
They can trade that in still.
I thought I
By
saw
the places
three
I
of them
looked
for
at.
some reason.
There is trade-ins.
Oh, yeah.
On there, on the website. I was just looking at that meeting, I said, oh, I said, you know, to spend all that money on that one item, and we said no, meant no, I mean, I said, oh, God, I gotta go find something. And I think it was Kevin I asked, that we bought used trucks in the past, and he said, yes. That got me on, okay, let's go online, let's put in used fire equipment, and a bunch of it popped up. And then I started looking at the pictures and saying, oh, this is better looking than one we got, you know?
Mm.
And I'm looking at the age and I'm saying, geez, we're not bad. We're doing 2009 to 2015. I mean, there was some even newer, but there's no price on it. I'm not gonna, hey, what's this for, you know?
Yeah.
But I was looking at the mileage. I know that's a big thing is the mileage because I buy used anyways. I drive things that are over 30, 40 years old. I don't care what the mileage is because I'm gonna dump another motor in it. But
Did it have the pump hours listed?
that's the only thing I don't see on them, but they will tell you that the pumps and tanks have been certified. If that, if, you know,
Was it your call?
That's
or
the
you think
thing.
Our outlet.
I think it's worth looking into
I,
because it would free up more money for
I'll
plows
touch
or
it later.
whatever
Find out.
else.
well, that's what I was saying. It would free up more money for other stuff that we need
We go
instead
from
of pumping it all on one vehicle.
660.
I mean, usually I don't go
Well, this
digging
one-
like
this one
that,
had the bigger-
but like I need a car part, I'll go digging,
but
this was like
650.
that.
I mean, it's 200.
That's
what
what
I
I'm
need.
replacing, right?
you know?
91.
Well, it's definitely helpful.
I mean, because like I said,
But,
if you
I mean,
want the websites and
It's still
stuff, you can go
200
look at the
plus K lower
pictures
than
yourself. Then you can see what's out
those were
there.
for new equipment.
You know, I mean, I even turned to Frank. He was at the meeting. I said, Frank, I'd be willing to give you a used one without a problem. You know, I would have gave you a used one if you came with it with the warrant article, but not the new one. See,
Okay.
but I think that's a good way to spend some of the other money that we have left over for other stuff that we need in the town. I know the roads, so you have to, if you want it one night, you got to go in a plow truck and spend like a few hours. Robin is a real bad one. Renton is bad. I can name a few because I plow. I'm sorry, I don't do your end of town.
Dude, I called Troy one year. I had a 5-inch water pipe in my snowbank. Remember that?
Yeah,
So
I don't do your end of town. I'm sorry.
But people speed on Britain. I don't have the problem with potholes on Britain
That's right. It's a
because
natural.
it's a speedway.
All right, it's a speedway for you.
With you,
Oh
yeah, when
God,
you
if
get
they,
paid,
fly,
I'm like,
they
no.
even when I'm plowing, they drive fast.
It makes me so nervous.
When I'm plowing, they go.
Somebody just complained about that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they do. They fly on that road. I don't even live up there. But when I'm plowing it, and they go flying by you. It's like, come on, you spin out.
Four-wheel drive makes you invincible.
Well, that's what it is. That's exactly it. It was funny. I
totally
did
true.
one of the streets up there. It's a big circle, and I see this Jeep coming. This is funny. You can't see the doors, but you see these round things hanging off the side of it. But I can't tell what they are because it's dark. So I'm getting ready to go into that big circle to start plowing, and they park on the side. All of a sudden, I see the doors pop open. They grab these ropes. They're inner tubes.
Oh,
They tied them on each side. They were going to go sledding up on the hill. I said, hey, guys, I'll tell you what. I don't want to plow you in. You move your truck. I'll plow there. Put it back. You're all set. They moved, you know, because I didn't want to plow them in. That circle's huge. And they did it. But it was funny to see the inner tubes that way. I said, how the heck you got side view vision? All you got is a rear view. But it was weird to see that. And okay, this is another funny one. You know how we get mail for mailboxes? Okay.
I've heard a few things. I've seen a few things.
This is the best one I've ever seen. I had to call Kevin on this one. I'm coming out to the intersection. I'm coming on to Brenton. It's snowing like crazy. This guy's got a little SUV, doesn't clear any of the windows. He's going to back into the driveway. Hits the mailbox once. Okay. Because I can't go because I got to wait. He's got traffic tied up. He pulls back up. He moves over a little, gets the mailbox again. Third time he knocked it right over.
oh, God.
Wow.
This is his
Couldn't
car.
video it because it was too dark. I called Kevin. I said, hey, there's the number of this thing on Brenton. If he calls for a mailbox post, It wasn't us. It was him. But first time I've ever seen that in all my years of plowing, that somebody take their own mailbox out.
Wow.
It needed to be on America's Funniest video, because here I am waiting to go. The traffic's backed up on Brenton, and this guy knocks it out. So, okay, that's all I've got to say.
Okay.
I'd like to see it spread around, even for a truck. I'm gonna hold for use one for him. I think we got money there now. We could even go after one. We could just say 400,000 or something was in the bank. If that was something that you guys really nailed down and Frank could nail and look more information on them or whatever. I mean, that way there, that's part of it that can go. But I don't know why other people don't come and speak about that stuff.
Talking to Frank.
What's that?
Do you talk with Frank?
Huh?
Are you sharing that information?
I can go to give it to Frank
Yeah.
and see what he says.
Because he can make it part of his proposal when he sends his information back to us.
Yeah, because I mean, the trucks look good from what I've seen, and I mean, they list all the stuff, what's been certified, everything. Pennsylvania is one of them. South Carolina is another one. The other one's in Texas. So, but they do deliver. They all say they deliver. So, I said I can go drive one. I got the CDL. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the only last thing that we had, you and I received an email, maybe the whole committee did, I'm not sure,
Yes, and
of an interest in
Right.
serving. So
from Brian.
from Brian Bork had sent an email saying he's interested in serving as the citizen rep on this
Right.
committee.
And he was here, but
Yeah, and I wonder if that's why he was here, but
yeah, I feel bad now.
What's that?
He had a long drive home.
Yeah. So, but I will, I'm in the process right now because we just did our annual appointments for boards and committees, and we have several vacancies, and there'll be some notice going out this week.
Okay.
And I'll make sure we put our CIP
Okay.
citizens rep on there. So, and do you want to be involved in interviewing that citizens rep, or do you want to just allow the selectmen to make that decision? Some boards and committees, they'll go, the
I
committee.
think when I
We'll
came in,
interview
I just went to
first.
the selectmen. When I came on,
Oh, when
you
we
interviewed
did
us,
it,
yeah.
yeah, they just went to the board of selectmen and they talked with them.
Because we were just creating it, so I'm just, but
I think what he's saying is usually like the planning board would recommend to the board of selectmen the person or how that. board
Gotcha.
does
Yeah, yeah.
that. I mean, we could do that as well.
because now we're established. Do you guys have a preference? Would you like to interview anyone?
I
that's
interview
interested?
people all the time, so it's fine
Don't
with
scare
me.
them away.
I won't scare them away. I won't scare them away.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad, idea to have them come before our committee and then just make the recommendation to the board of selectmen like we usually do with anything else and just.
And, when we created it, I don't know if we created any alternate positions, but we might want to consider a couple of alternates.
Okay, just something to consider. Good idea. Yeah, so I guess if you maybe reach
Okay.
out to Brian and see what,
Yeah.
if he's still.
Okay.
Okay. Our next meeting and time. So meet in May or when we would like to meet again?
Should be the first Monday in May, right?
Yeah.
First Monday in May,
So that's May 2nd.
May 2nd. So 6 o'clock. I assume that's
6 o'clock work for you guys? Yeah.
Good for everybody?
All right.
Okay. All right. So that will be our next meeting. I have nothing else unless anybody else has anything. So I guess we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it. Second.
All right, make a motion. We have a motion, have a second. Do I have discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstain. Motion passes 4-0-0. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we'll see you back here on May 2nd.